This episode contains themes which may not be suitable for children. You have been warned. What's going on, guys? Welcome to Myths, Monsters, and Mullets. I am your host, John Methenkamp. Just a few updates before we start the show. Had a lot of people reach out asking how they can help support the show. You can do that a couple ways. One, you go over to Buy Me a Coffee. One-time donation helps keep the show running. While it is free to consume, it's not free to produce. So any little bit would help. You can also join me on TikTok by joining the link in the description. And over there, you can subscribe to my channel for $3.99 a month. You get previews for all the episodes before everybody else. And you get some other little fun stickers and stuff that you can use during the chat. And you get a shout out before the next show. You'll also be shouted out anytime you join the chat. Also, speaking of TikTok, I normally do my live shows at 7 p.m. on Sundays. With summer coming up, we do a lot of camping. So I may be moving my lives to Saturday nights. And that time could vary. But I'm probably looking at about 10 o'clock Eastern time. If you have a paranormal encounter you'd like to share, you can email me at mythsandmullets@gmail.com. Tell me about your encounter. Maybe you can be a guest on the show. Also, October 4th, Ado, Ohio, is the Ohio Bigfoot Jamboree. I'll be there along with Nevermore Hollows, Drunken Cryptids. It's all hosted by Cryptids of the Corn. And our new friends, Chumming with the Spirits, will be there. Now, on with the show.
It looked like a dog, you know. They call it like the dog man or something. I mean, this thing was built. I mean, this thing was rugged. I mean, it's something I wouldn't want to tangle with it, you know.
One night, I'm sitting there and I had a dead body in my bed.
Yes, that's when I started hearing the doors opening and closing and them walking through the house.
You said something a minute ago that, you know, that you were that bad kid. But you weren't, because that's all you knew. Welcome back to Myths, Monsters, and Mullets. I am your host, John Methenkamp. And this is part 2 with Sela and Joey. That first episode was pretty intense, to say the least. I don't think we need to rehash much of that, because this will come out 1 week later. But you have a story that you want to tell, you know, to kind of explain how you got to that point, if I understand correctly.
How I got to the addiction point?
Correct.
Or, okay. Well, we were kind of just talking about it, but it was off camera, so I'm kind of like, you know.
Yeah.
You know, my father had dabbled in black magic. He will admittingly, and I believe he actually still dabbles in it. I don't talk to him due to certain reasons. But, you know, he would pick me up. And my biggest memories of my dad is he would pick me up and I would get so excited because he would take me to the grocery store. And living in Las Vegas, you can pick up alcohol and any type of alcohol in the grocery store. It's not like any dry counties or anything like that down south. So we would go to the store, and on the way back to his house, and I would pick out whatever alcohol I wanted, and I would get to drink it until it was gone or until I was passed out.
And how old were you at this time?
6 years old. My entire life, literally, as far back as I can remember. I remember my mom talking about a story saying that she was so angry at my dad because he had gotten me so inebriated when I was 2 years old that I had such a bad hangover that I was sick for 3 days. Yeah. Needless to say, not the best of influences. You know, everybody has their traumas, but there's still needs to be time for being accountable. and I don't believe that he was very accountable.
Yeah.
And that's honestly and truly where my habits had started. The first time I had ever used was at my father's house, with him knowing. Uh, I was with adults. I was 12 years old, and of course, I was one of those bad kids that hung, bad girls that hung out with the older guys type thing. And they were all wondering where to get it, and I said, "Well, I can, but if I get it, then I want to try it." And they said, "Okay." And as a matter of fact, the first time I ever literally used was with my dad watching me. The first time I ever used. Um,
I can't wrap my head around that.
it's hard.
And you said something a minute ago that that you were that bad kid, but you weren't, because that's all you knew.
Exactly. I didn't know anything else. My parents, my mom had me when she was 15. My mom was 14 when she married my dad at 16. My dad was 16, my mom was 14. They had me at 15 and 17. They were children that did not have the best of households growing up themselves. And this is what I believe where we get into the generational curses. And I believe that's one of the reasons why I had so much backlash, is because I'm supposed to be one of those generational curse breakers. And those generational curse breakers are somebody that gets a lot of backlash from the other side, from the enemy, because they want to keep the family under that thumb. That's a bloodline thing, and those are powerful. Those are extremely powerful. I don't know exactly where to take it from there, other than that I honestly, truly believe that these things that went on in my life, now don't get me wrong, I believe that they were meant to happen for a reason. I believe that everything I went through was for a reason, not for punishment. It was not for punishment. It was not, I don't have to understand the plan in order to know that the plan is there. It's not
Right.
meant for me to understand, because I would mess it up. I thought you were going to say something. My father was a big part of the reason why I used. My stepfather was a big part of the reason why I used. He was really big into it. One of the reasons why my mom had divorced him was because he had gotten high off of heroin and came home with his eyebrows and his head shaved. And she was like, "That's it, I'm done." And this was after 8 years of nonstop alcoholism and nonstop of my house, coming home from school and the house being torn up and, stuff like that. That's the life that I lived. What were you going to say?
Just picturing him with no eyebrows and no hair.
I know.
Did that just?
I know.
Just picturing anybody like that just like.
I know. It was him and his brother's bright idea. Some people just.
Well, I don't know if it was a bright idea, but it was an idea.
It was an idea. To them, it was bright, But most definitely, I also lived with a man that spent 25 years in prison because he was such a narcissistic that he abused me. And my mom kind of caught on really fast. There was, because he opened up the front door and I had jumped back about 10 feet. So she knew something was up and was asking questions. So I ended up having to tell her pretty fast. But when she left him, he went and kidnapped a woman and held her at the house for 3 days, having his way with her. And I lived with this man for 4 years of my life, You cannot tell me that that man does not have a demon in him. You can look in his eyes and you can see it. This man used to pick up people, women, and multiple men, and they would have their way in the back of the van and throw those women off the side of the road.
Oh my God.
This is the type of person that I lived with for 4 years of my life, from the time I was 10 to 14. There's all these things that kind of lead up to this, and I know there's a ton of other people that have these kinds of stories. And most of the time they are addicted. Most of the time they have those kinds of afflictions. Most of the time, you got to numb somehow. You got to figure out how to numb something like that somehow. And despite my father's attempts, alcohol was not mine. But I do truly believe that shame that I held onto every time I used, that shame that I felt every time I used, allowed something to torment me. Literally torment me. And
Right.
it still tries. It still has its days where it tries. And, and I have to go to God, and I have to do the things that I have to do to keep myself protected. There's certain rituals and stuff that I have to do. I'm constantly praying. I am constantly doing all kinds of things, but the more work I do in that, the more harder I get hit. Because
you left the enemy.
Exactly. And I did it in a very different way.
Right. What would you say to, let's say somebody is watching this right now and they're struggling with what you went through?
Mm-hmm.
What would you say to them right now?
You can reach out to me at any given point in time. Reach out to God. Pray. Sometimes those words don't want to come out of your mouth. Sometimes you have to fight to get those words out to come out. And I understand that, but you can fight it. You absolutely have a light that is fighting for you. There's a light inside of you. You are made of light. We are made, our souls are made of light, of energy. And that light will be there no matter what you do. No matter what the enemy does, that light will always be there. And if you're being tormented in that way, never give up hope. Never give up faith. And I promise one day your prayer will get answered. Yeah. And in all honesty, if there is you can reach out to me at any given point in time. Any given point in time. Go to anybody that has any kind of background as far as the church goes. Because if you can't do it without God. You need God.
Amen.
And I know a lot of people have a lot of stigmatism behind those things, but it's the truth.
Yeah, absolutely. Joey, what were your, maybe I should have asked you this offline, but what are your beliefs as far as spirituality? Did you have a strong spiritual background before this, or?
So, one of the first few things, so the next question, yes, there's a lot of, I have certain gifts that most people don't have either. One of the most memorable ones was, I think I was...
He's got goosebumps right now, by the way.
I think I was 6 or 7. And my grandmother was in the hospital, and my dad had just got home, and I was supposed to be in bed asleep, and I was in there, and I heard him get home, and he was upset, and I can hear them talking about, no, she'll be okay. My mom and my dad were talking about grandma. She'll be okay. This is one of those things. She has problems, but she'll be okay. My grandmother was 92, somewhere in there. She was up there in days. She'd been around for a little bit, seen a lot. So I'm laying in bed, and I remember this clearly. In the corner of my room, like where the corners meet, there was like kind of like a, I won't say light, but like a misty glow, and I could see my grandma's face. And she was standing there, and I'm just looking, and I'm like, oh, I've got to be dreaming. Grandma's in the hospital. She's not in my room, and why would she be up in the corner of my room? And she said it would be okay, and that she loved me. And I'm like, I love you too, Grandma. What are you doing in the corner of my room? She just said, I have to go. I wanted to say goodbye. So I'm freaked out. I go running out into the living room. Mom and Dad are like, why the heck are you not in bed? It's bedtime. You're supposed to be in bed an hour ago and sleep and all this other stuff. I'm like, Mom, Dad, Grandma just told me goodbye. And they just kind of blew it off. They're like, okay, it was a dream. Go back to bed. The phone on the wall rings. And I go, that's the hospital. They're calling you to tell you that Grandma has passed away. My mom's like, go to bed. There's no way. She answers the phone, and her face just turned white as a ghost. And she hands the phone to my dad, and then just looks at me with this blank stare on her face. And my dad just falls to the ground on the floor. The phone falls, and he's just in tears. My mom told me that I needed to just go ahead and go to bed, and we talk about this tomorrow. And that was the hospital calling and letting my dad know that Grandma had passed away. And at a young age, I didn't know what to make of that. I didn't understand. As I've grown through life since then, many conversations with my dad before he had passed, I get dreams, but they're more of premonitions of things to happen. And not always do I know what it is, and I don't always remember, and I'm you're in dreams, you can't read words, you can't do this, and if you can, you need to remember them and write them down. Well, that's what I started doing. Is that if I could read like signs or menus on restaurants or something, if I seen something like that I could remember and write down, I'd write it down. And like a few days later, that exact thing would happen. And I'm not saying anything else really happened around. Like we just went to lunch, and there was that flyer or whatever that was in my dream, but it was enough to see a pattern, of my dad's had it, my grandmother had it. I think some of my sisters have had it, and we just get that. It's like when one of us is sick, you get that weird feeling. You just And it's like, all right, start making phone calls. Who's sick? Who's hurt? What's going on? Something's going on right now. And it's always somebody was, in a car accident, or somebody's in the hospital and they're sick, or something just happened. And so growing up with this and learning a lot of it, most people, especially if they watch the first episode, would think I'm completely lunatic for staying around. And half the things that she said, I still question my mental stability. But yeah, so I definitely have experiences like that, and I see, like, I see things sometimes that aren't there, and I know they're not there. I see them, and I can see like figures like standing in the room, peripheral. But as soon as I turn, they go away. That's one of those things that happens a lot, and it happened in that house in Plano in Texas all the time, where you could just feel, like I could see that little girl. As long as I was looking this way, I could see her clear as day. But you look, and it's gone.
Are when you're seeing these things, is it like all times a day, or is it like at night?
Random.
Wow.
Like I could see him at the foot of the bed, or I could see him while I'm driving in the highway, or somebody could be sitting in the back seat of the car with me.
I've seen him on the side of the highway a lot.
Wow. So let me ask you this. Do you feel like that maybe the reason that you two are together is because you have a shared path like that?
Yeah.
So let me tell you a little story about that question right there, and it's kind of funny. We met when we were 10 years old. We met when we were
like
10
randomly
years old.
met, or like went to school
randomly
together?
Met when we were 10 years old. As a matter of fact, my mom refers to my first date being with him when we were 10 years old.
Really?
Dating my cousin.
And we met for 2 weeks. And it was this funny thing. Now I know him, but back, I was always a heavyset girl. I was always picked on, And then we met. My mom was like dating this guy, and she's like, "Come over, there's this little boy over there, da da da." And I'm like, "Yeah, no, I'm good, Mom." And she was like, "Please, just come over. He's really nice. He's bored. He doesn't know anybody in the neighborhood." Okay. And the first thing he said to me was, "Oh my God, you're so beautiful. You're the most beautiful person I've ever met. We're meant to get married." My reaction was, "You done bumped your head. What is wrong with this boy?" Well, he has a problem with blurting out sometimes whatever comes on his mind. I didn't know.
Wait a minute. I get the feeling that you do that too.
Me?
Yeah.
Never. But yeah, so we met when we were 10 years old, and we didn't know it until years after we were married. Like, because he would talk about this bike that he got stolen, and he always carried this bike around. So one day, I'm sitting there, and he's already asleep, and I'm like, I was doing something, I couldn't sleep, and I was like getting a drink of water. For some reason, that boy came across my mind, and I went, "Oh boy, wasn't he wrong?" And then everything came to, and I went, "Oh my gosh, maybe he wasn't so wrong." So then he started talking, and I was like, "Do you remember this and that?" And he didn't remember, but then he's like, Because, well, the only basketball game I've ever been to is the Globetrotters. I was like, "Yeah, UNLV." And he goes, yeah. I was like, yeah, there was a girl with you. He goes, well, yeah. I said, I was that girl.
Holy cow. And
hmm
how old were you whenever you met again?
30, how old was I don't know, it's been over 10 years.
Yeah, like 32.
So
A little
22
bit.
years later, you meet again?
Had no idea, completely fell in love despite the past relationships we were in because we were both in extremely toxic relationships and neither one of us, we both went, no more kids and no marriage. Well, we ended up married, didn't have any more kids because we still had enough. But
7 is enough.
yeah, yeah, definitely. But it's kind of weird how God plays those things, how those kinds of things plan out. Like you said, you think we were meant to be together because he understood me and I understood him. Nobody in their right mind would have believed me. Nobody in their right mind, which I honestly believe that we all need to be out of our right mind, but nobody would have trusted me. Not like he did. I can tell him things, and as crazy as it may sound, he'll look at me and go, well, you are crazy, honey, but it doesn't mean it didn't happen. And I'm like, you're right, I am crazy. But it does, these things do happen. And after that bathtub experience and after living in that house with that whatever it was that yanked him off the bed and me knowing what it was going to do prior to it doing it. I don't know if it was warning me because there's a lot more to the stories than what we're just saying on here, but or if it was just trying to, haha, let's see what you can do about this, or scare me, you know, because I'm not quite sure on that. I am not quite sure, but he was questioning me until he got yanked out of the bed. Once he got yanked out of the bed and he looked at me and his toes this big around and black and the other foot is black and blue and purple. And he was like, something pulled me out of the bed and I broke my foot kicking it. Because I don't know what it was. Because I didn't see anything.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you haven't watched the first episode, I strongly suggest going back and watching that one. Because it's a good one. It's a good one, I can tell you that. But you've had several other paranormal encounters, not of the demonic type.
Oh, yes.
So let's talk about some of those real quick.
Are you talking about the Cold Creek incident?
I believe that's what it was. Yes.
Yeah, the mountains outside of Las Vegas.
Right.
Cold Creek incident. I told you that's what he was going to want to talk about next.
Yeah.
So we go out to Las Vegas. That's where our family is. And there's a family emergency. We go out there and we tried sleeping on my mom's pull-out bed. Didn't work. We tried sleeping on an air mattress. Didn't work. We needed some real sleep, especially after driving for 19 hours straight there and being at the hospital and with the aunt being in ICU and just all of that. We needed to get some sleep.
And mind you, this time is during NFR. If anybody out there knows what that is, it's where rodeo comes to Vegas. You can't get a hotel room nowhere.
Nothing. Not even in the middle of crackhead Las Vegas could you get a hotel room. And I'm no joke. Like there was nothing. So my mom and my stepdad had a cabin built off grid up in the mountains outside of Las Vegas. The whole community is completely off grid. So we go up there and it's freezing. Well, it's freezing cold. The first night we're up there, we turn off the light and we just hear this little pitter patter. And it was bipedal, 2 feet. And it sounded like a little kid or a leprechaun, is what I refer to it more as. Sounded like a little leprechaun that was up to no good. That's what was going on in my head, you know. Running around, and we're both looking at each other, and we're like, what is that? Well, we both at that point go, I'm too tired. I don't care. I'm going to sleep. So the next day, I tell my mom, I'm like, hey, Mom, you know, you pissed off some kind of sprite or something up here because we were hearing some bipedal running around. She was like, well, maybe it was a mouse or something. No.
Mouse traps. You can go set up some mouse traps.
Yeah, that's what she told us. It's just mouse traps. I was like, no. Oh, let me rewind that. That first night, I got woken up in the middle of the night coughing because I had stomach acid fly up and out of my sinuses. Like, for no reason at all whatsoever. We all get indigestion, whatever, but stomach acid flew up and out of my nostrils and made me cough. There was stomach acid on the pillowcase. And it hit me that hard. And I was telling my mom, yeah, exactly. And I was too exhausted. I didn't care. I went right back to sleep.
Horrible too.
I went right back. I was so tired. And so I tell my mom the next day, I'm like, you got something really mad up here. Because I believe in all kinds of different little creatures, you know. I don't know what it is. I don't know exactly, but you need to do something to make it happy. You pissed it off. You mess with this landscape. You need to make it happy. Put some flowers out here. You need to do something. And so she was like, okay, because my mom kind of blows that stuff off. But at the same time, she kind of believes me. And then I told her about how I had that in the middle of the night, the stomach acid. And she goes, you know, that's really funny. I've had that happen up there too, like a couple of times. And I was like, well, that's kind of odd. Well, okay, maybe it's just the elevation or something. Then it was the second night we were there.
Second night we heard more movement,
Yeah.
but nothing really too crazy. The second night, the third night.
Well, the third night I thought was when we seen the sky. The second night was when you said, oh, they brought you back cold.
No, that was third night.
Oh, was it? Okay. Second night there was still the pitter patter when we turned off the lights. And then there again was in the middle of the night, the same stomach acid situation happening. It happened 2 nights in a row. And this is not something I have experienced very frequently in the past, you know? So I'm like, okay, this is weird. The third night was when the pictures that I had sent you already and the video that I had sent you, that we seen the unidentified object. Literally, the mountains kind of come down like this, and then they come down like this. My mom's cabin is right here. And literally, the spaceship was right in between, or the unidentified, the UFO was literally right in between. I mean, hovering over my mom's cabin, I could swear.
And you're inside at the time? You're inside the cabin at the time?
We're driving up the mountain. We're in Las Vegas, and we've seen it as we're heading outside of Las Vegas, and then we're driving up the mountain, and you can see it, and then all of a sudden, gone.
So what you're missing is the way these mountains sit. You got quite of a good view. Like the cabin's way low, the mountain tops are up here, and you can kind of see daylight a little bit above it, so you can kind of see the outline. Where the light was, it went down, and it's actually in front of the mountains.
Yeah.
It was up here in the sky, and you can see that it went down. I'm like, that's a weird airplane. And we talked about it for quite a while. It's like, that is a really weird airplane. Why is it flying like that? Maybe it's SpaceX. Maybe Elon's sending up some satellites or something. There's no contrails, and it's not really moving that much. It's really staying put. I thought maybe it's a star. And as we're getting closer, and we're going up this hill, and it's quite a grade because you're going from like 3,000 to 7,000 foot level. So we're going up this hill, and we're watching it, and then you can see the shape of the mountain outline from the light, like just a little bit of moonlight or whatever. The light actually goes in front of the mountains, and you can see the mountain outline above this light now. And that to me, I'm like, well, that's not any rocket, or that's not a star. The stars aren't going to be in front of the mountain.
No.
Well, and if it was, that was a bad day.
Right.
Yeah. Whatever. I mean, whatever's making that bright light stay there that long, it's pretty good size. So then that night,
all I remember, like, I don't have any memory of any kind of abduction. I don't have any memory of anything being done to me. I will add, I was on the beginning of my cycle. I know that has a lot to do with these things too, but I don't remember anything. All I remember was all of a sudden I woke up and I was frozen cold. Frozen cold. I'm underneath 3 blankets with the heater on, and I'm freezing cold. And he comes to cuddle up next to me, and I felt like a refrigerator, like the inside of a refrigerator.
Yeah, she was there and warm, and I'm a hot sleeper, so I'm kind of like, give her a little space. Because when she gets warm, just give her a little space. And then I felt like she wasn't there in bed, and then the next thing I felt was like she was there, but she was an ice cube. It was like, I worked in casinos with giant walk-in freezers. It was that kind of instant cold.
So you say there, like, for a second she wasn't there?
The bed was empty next to me. And then she was there laying frozen. Like a blink of an eye, frozen. There was no, like, movement. There was no, like, shuffling. Like, she got up, went to the bathroom, crawled back into bed. The bed was empty. I'm like, that's weird. And I reached over again, and she was frozen.
Holy cow.
That length of time, just, the bed was warm, and she was gone. I'm like, maybe she went to the bathroom. And I reached over again, and then she was there now, frozen, like ice. And just shivering, like frozen. The bed, the sheets were warm. Everything was warm. She was just frozen.
Are you RH negative?
Me?
Yes.
Oh, I don't think so. I don't know.
I'm just curious.
Yeah, because that's different blood types.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of people who experience abduction report being RH negative.
Mm-hmm. I do not believe I'm RH negative. Like I said, I don't have any memory of anything except for all of a sudden being in that bed and just being like feeling like I was outside for 30 minutes.
Wow.
And it was good 30s, 20s, 30s outside.
It's below freezing.
Yeah, it was pretty cold.
But you didn't feel anything. Joey just felt the bed being empty for a second, and then you were back.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I did get the hit with the stomach acid again.
Joey, did you feel anything like that? Like feel off or ill?
No.
Nothing.
Like,
so they said, we don't want you.
Before,
we just want her.
Yeah. Yeah. That's fine with me. Well, somebody had to take the guinea pig, and I'm glad it was you, dear, not me.
Well, they do say that there's a lot of when people encounter different spiritual things, that they're actually more, I don't know what the word, susceptible or more likely to encounter other things as well.
Hmm. Yeah, that's very common. You know, a lot of people who once you've had like one paranormal encounter, um, it's like opens your mind, or it
They
opens you
open
up to
something.
having other things happen.
Hmm.
Um, you know, a lot of times, you know, you hear people talk about they saw Bigfoot, but you know, this other time I saw a UFO too. You know, or sometimes it's at the same time. You know, you hear people talk about seeing the lights, and then they see Bigfoot.
Hmm.
So I do think that once you come to the realization that there is a spiritual realm, that and that the paranormal does exist, I think you do start seeing more and experiencing more, because now your eyes are open to it. That's just my opinion, and I'm not an
No,
expert.
I agree with you 100%. Because then you're no longer in denial.
Correct, correct. The blinders have been taken off.
Although my blinder's been taken off, that's for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I think both
my
of you,
blinders got thrown off.
right, kind of ripped off.
Yeah, 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 definitely.
I've got lots of stories like that.
Yeah,
Paranormal.
That's what we're
happened
here
to
for.
paranormal things.
Yeah. Well, so my father worked at the Tonopah test site, Area 51.
Gotcha. Okay. Yes.
He worked up there most of my childhood life. I've been onto the base. Um, we got to go. My mom, my sister, and I were put in buses and brought to his trailer staging area or whatever, and we got to see different parts of the base. Um, this time in particular, we were out there, and this was before the stealth fighters were public. We got to actually see them before they
How
were.
old were you at this time?
Let's see. So I was probably 12 or 13
Oh, wow.
at the time. My dad worked there from like 1982 through 96.
Okay.
So roughly. Um, so yeah, you could definitely tell. Like they put us in these buses as we're driving down this back road. All of a sudden, all the windows just went black, just like that. The front windshield, everything is completely black, and we're driving down the road. And the bus driver goes, "Don't worry, this is normal. You know, we have to black out some of these areas because there's some stuff over here that the general public is not allowed to see, and we can't let you see what's going on in these areas. It's secured. It's top secret stuff." And driving, and this is the middle of the day. It's like 10 o'clock in the morning, 11 o'clock in the morning, so it's bright as day, but it's pitch black inside that bus. You couldn't see anything out. The lights came on inside the bus. They were just talking to us, going, "No, this is normal. We just can't let you see this. It's top secret. You guys don't have clearance for this." So, and then we couldn't have went 2 miles, and then poof, windows are clear again. You could see outside the bus, and
So was it like something was covering the windows, or the windows turned black?
the windows turned black.
Oh, wow.
It was like electromagnetic film. Like they have that. It's out now.
Oh, yeah. You can get it for your bath, like in your showers and stuff like that, where you
You
just,
get it for your car.
Thank you for changing that word.
You can get it for your vehicles too. They have the ones that are remote operated where you can black out the tent and reverse it now.
Yeah. Yeah.
But back in the 80s, I'm like, that was freaky. How did they put stuff over the windows while we're driving and then take it off?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of history. I lived with my dad in Tonopah for years, and you would see things flying in the air that up till recently haven't been released to the public knowledge.
You're not saying that there was UFOs before 2 or 3 years ago.
No, I'm not saying that at all. And I'm saying there's a lot of stuff that what we call UFOs may not be so much alien, but it's our own technology that they don't release. That maybe it's reverse engineered from some other technology.
I believe that. I believe that
Yeah,
even the stealth technology
there you go.
that isn't like that to me seems alien. Honestly, I mean,
Yeah,
Look at
Yeah.
it.
right?
It's flat out.
It's
Yeah.
it's a freaking it's the bat signal. You know, like
It's
who
literally
really thought
trying.
that was going to fly? You know,
Hmm.
Physics says it won't. It does.
right?
Crazy. But yeah, growing up, so there's lots of the paranormal stuff um, like that where um, we were driving. I was driving home from Tonopah to Vegas, and on that little back road, you see lots and lots of things that fly, that do things that you don't think anything can do.
The flying machines aren't
The-
supposed to be able to do.
Movements that our helicopters are great. There's no way they're crossing the whole sky and then going this way on a dime. It's just not happening.
Right.
I see that all the time. There's one particular time my dad and I and mom and sister, we were coming back from deer hunting and camping and stuff, and we're coming down that same road because we used to hunt northern Nevada. We're heading back home, and we got gas and stuff in Tonopah. We kept going, and we're heading back here to Vegas. And in Beatty, Nevada, there's a stop sign, and you have to make a left to go to Vegas. Otherwise, you go into Death Valley. So none of us could remember anything past starting to slow down in Beatty, but we ended up in the middle of Death Valley. Like, so much so my mom was like, John, what are you doing? Where are we? This doesn't look like anything I've seen. He goes, what do you mean? We're almost home. We're almost out of gas. We should be almost pulling into Vegas. We should be going through, whatever right now. As they pull off the side of the road and stop and digging through the old school map, and they're trying to figure out where the heck are we? We're lost. And
There's not very many markers in Death Valley back then.
yeah, there was nothing.
There was no markers in Death Valley back then. It wasn't that big of a traction.
He goes, well, let's just go. We had enough fuel. We'll just go a little bit farther, and we'll see if we see any road signs, markers, because there was nothing. So as we're going a little bit farther, welcome to Death Valley.
You don't even remember the stop sign.
Stop sign, none of
Junction
it.
19.
Yeah, I think it's Junction 19.
Yeah.
Nothing. None of us do at all. And it was weird because we should have been, there's no way that old truck would have made it that far. Pulling a trailer, getting like 4 miles to the foot. You got nowhere on fuel. And we still had like half tank of fuel. So we should have been in Vegas, not in Death Valley.
So you had more fuel than you should have.
More fuel than we should have. And it was dark, but it was only like the clock on the truck. I think it was like 11 o'clock at night, and we got fuel an hour or so before. It was like 10 o'clock, right before they closed down the gas station where we went inside and we got snacks and stuff. But they closed that the streets of Tonopah. Most people don't know roll up. They used to roll up at like 10 o'clock. Period. Everything after that, you're out of luck. We got gas, got some snacks. We're good. We're gonna make it. We'll make it to Vegas. But we'll have to stop at the edge of town, and the edge of town at that time was like Craig and Charleston or whatever. So, but we were in Death Valley, which was like 300 something miles from Tonopah, with a half a tank of fuel, and there was no.
There's nothing out that way, even now.
There's no way we could have made it that far in an hour.
Right.
And with fuel, because there's no fuel stops from Tonopah to Vegas where we could have even regassed. We couldn't have even refueled.
Yeah, that math ain't mathing.
That math hasn't mathed a number of times. There's been a number of trips like that where
Really?
literally we remember leaving certain points, and my dad and I have done that a number of times traveling from Tonopah to Vegas, because Dad and I lived in Tonopah, Mom lived in Vegas with my sister, and we would drive home on the weekends, and we would leave and be in Vegas hours before we should have been there. Hours. My dad drives fast, but it's impossible to get there that length of time.
Do you think your dad stole some alien technology and retrofitted his truck?
Well, he should have passed it down.
Well, so it's not just him. I've done weird stuff. I've had weird stuff like that happen to me, where we joke about it, but when I'm driving and everybody in the vehicle they go to sleep when I'm driving. Like everybody goes to sleep, and they'll wake up, and she'll wake up and go, "Where are we?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm not sure where we are. Oh, look, we're only this such and such far from this next town." And she goes, "Well, how long have I been out?" I go, "Oh, about 40 minutes or so."
It's been at least 3 hours of driving time.
Yeah, it would have been 3 hours of driving time, and I looked down, and I'm still full on fuel, and it was just like
It's a weird thing. It is. We just always tell him that he's
time warping.
Time warping or something. It's weird. Everybody in the vehicle goes to sleep.
So I'm driving to Georgia in September. Do you think you could come over and chauffeur me?
It happens a lot. Like I've done, I don't know how many trips from Texas to Nevada and back and forth, and it'll happen. It doesn't happen every trip, but it happens enough where it doesn't scare me like it used to.
Yeah.
Because it's literally, for me, it's a jump shake like this, and I'm like, where the hell am I? Just an instantaneous, where am I? And we didn't have like Google Maps all the time. Now I can see where I'm at, and it's like, you've made it here 4 hours sooner than you should have.
Really? So like Google Maps is saying, like it turns, I think, green or whatever when you're ahead of schedule.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I've yet to have a later than expected time arrival on any trips.
Wow.
But to have them where the one was the freakiest one was, it was like I got from here, I left here, and was in Albuquerque, New Mexico in 6 hours or so, 7 hours.
Not even 7 hours. It was 5 or 6 hours.
Yeah.
And how long does that normally take?
8.5, 9 hour drive.
Really?
Easily, especially if there's traffic.
Yeah, she was having seizures. I left at 7 in the morning, and the sun was still up, and I caught up to her, who left the day prior, going to Vegas, and she was in Amarillo in the morning when I left Texas, and I caught her in Albuquerque.
Wow.
And we continued driving.
What do you think caused that?
I don't know. I can just say it's like time. I don't want to say I'm like hitting like riffs in time, but that's literally what it feels like. Because me, the vehicle, everybody in the vehicle, everything like the fuel, the mileage doesn't mileage up on the odometer of the vehicle. Google Maps is like you arrived 3 hours earlier than you should, and I'm like,
He did that once in San Diego. He did that once in San Diego where it was literally, we were 4 hours ahead of schedule.
yeah,
I passed out for a half an hour and we were 4 hours ahead of schedule. And I was like, how did that even, what do you mean?
We went
That
down
doesn't
there
make any sense.
went down for an event, one of the drifting events, and left Vegas, and we were literally in San Diego in like 45 minutes to an hour.
It was weird.
No.
It was very, very weird. But everybody in the vehicle falls asleep.
And this isn't happening. I mean, this is happening in different locations, and this isn't just like every time I drive this one road, something happens. This is happening at just random times.
It happens
random
when I'm
locations.
coming home from work in the morning, just the 45, 50 miles from my work to here, where I'll leave work, I'll text her, headed home, so she knows that what time I left work, and I'm pulling in like 12 minutes from the time I left. And the best time I can physically do is like 45 minutes. Like when my son had issues.
That's the best traffic, and Dallas does not give good traffic.
My son had issues, and I literally left work, and my truck, the headers on the truck, I guarantee were cherry red, because I was doing 105 to 110 through downtown Dallas, all the way out of Dallas, and it's out to where we live, and it took me 45 minutes, and I was flying over 100 miles an hour. But yet I could be here in 15 minutes sometimes.
Think of all the money you're saving in gas, though.
If it happened all the time.
Yeah, if it was more predictable, it'd be great. But,
wish you had a switch for that, Like, gas is
there's
$4
been
a
plenty of
gallon
times
right
that
now.
we've
Let
had
me
it be
turn
like-
that switch on.
There's been plenty of times we'd be on a road trip and it's like, time warp, just time warp, please.
So this has become so normal that this doesn't phase you anymore.
Not at all.
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
The weirdest part is everybody in the vehicle has to go to sleep in order for it to happen, though. If there's anybody in the vehicle, everybody falls asleep.
Do you feel like is it like
it's almost like everybody was given a tincture to fall asleep. It's like
that's what I was getting ready to ask.
Yeah,
I mean, like it's not like you're just
everybody.
You feel everybody all of a sudden feels really sleepy, and we all just fall asleep.
Wow.
It's like the night button gets hit on everybody, and then all of a sudden we all kind of wake up right around the same exact time.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like to have that button.
Me too.
I would, and I'm thankful that I don't remember those periods of time because I don't know where I am.
Right. Because maybe, I mean, we've already talked about UFOs. If you're getting abducted during that, maybe you don't want to know what's going on.
No. That's why I was saying I don't have any recollection. I don't want any.
Ignorance is complete bliss.
Yeah, I don't want to have the stories that other people have of the tortures and the torments and the no, thank you. I much just rather show up back in the bed cold.
Right. Because I've seen fire in the sky.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I that doesn't sound like fun to me.
No, not in the slightest bit.
Well, guys, I tell you what, we've done this for another hour. Time flies. Did you use that button again?
the same as
Yeah, we hit that button. So this is recorded.
I feel like that you still have more to tell. Am I right?
Oh, we have lots more. We're just
We definitely have lots more.
one
So-
growing up in Las Vegas and right outside of the Area 51 that gives you a lot.
Right. So why don't we schedule another time and
Okay.
you guys can come in and
Yeah.
tell us some more, because like I said, we've already done 2 episodes tonight. And like I said, I know that you have more because you've come in my live several times.
Hmm.
And for those who haven't yet, you need to go over to TikTok and follow me on TikTok to come in the lives every Sunday night at 7 p.m. And we can talk about more of this kind of stuff. But before we go, you have your own TikTok that you do and YouTube, correct?
Yes.
Why don't you tell everybody where they can find you?
I am looking through the glass at TikTok and on YouTube. We talk about addiction and narcissistic abuse and different kinds of abuses, and we're all about healing. And we also do about traumatic brain injuries and seizures and stuff.
Yeah, I'm Drifter Joey 79. I'm on Twitch, YouTube, TikTok. Typically, I'm playing video games, mainly Fortnite, but just playing with people, just having a good time, trying to create good energy, create a community that is welcoming. You know, I don't judge. I don't care if you're 5 years old or if you're 500 years old. You want to play some games, have some fun? I'm in.
All right. Well, I will get all those links and put them in the description. So if you need to,
That'd be great.
yeah. And I really do appreciate you guys coming in. And like I said, we will set up something else and we'll talk about your other encounters. But until next time, if you have a paranormal encounter you'd like to share, you can email me at mythsandmullets@gmail.com, or you can find me on TikTok. Follow the link in the description. You can come in every Saturday or every Sunday night at 7 p.m. unless I hit that button that they have. And then it's Saturday night at 7 p.m. But yeah, you can come in and tell your paranormal encounters live on TikTok. Talk to you later. Gotta go. And that's it for tonight. I'd like to thank Joey and Sela for coming on tonight. If you have a paranormal encounter you'd like to share, you can email me at mythsandmullets@gmail.com. Have a good night, everyone.
Saw you walk through the door like you ain't been here before. I didn't know what to do just to get closer to you. When all the heads turn your way, 'cause every